and welcome to another 284 Media feature interview. I'm your host, Jhaka, and today I am joined by Business Development Manager of the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, Miss Zoe Walcott, and we have a lot to discuss because they had a lot of fun for New Year's activities, and we're going to delve into all of that after this quick commercial break.
At Higher BVI, we're not just about business. We're about empowering lives, and that is because we aspire to inspire. By choosing us, you're supporting a company that believes in equal opportunities, diversity, and community growth. Our mission goes beyond profit. It's about providing HR solutions, fostering talent, and leaving a positive impact. Join us in building a better future, a better BVI. Choose Higher BVI, where your support isn't just a transaction, it's a transformation. Together, we're changing lives in these beautiful Virgin Islands.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, Zoe, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. And let me just say a happy new year. I think we're still allowed to say that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And of course, a lot of people in Tortola and a lot of visitors had a happy new year over at Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park. I do make sure to say the entire name.
I appreciate. I appreciate.
Now, of course, start us off because there is a lot to discuss today. There were so many people at the event, so many people talking about the event for the entire first week of the year. So take us into it from your point of view.
Well, I always like to start everything off by first off thanking sponsors. Who are the bedrock that allow us to be a bit more progressive. And we actually have quite a number of other opportunities in terms of sponsorship because we were told that part 2 needs to happen. And so, of course, the government of the Virgin Islands, Honorable the Premier Natalia Wheatley, has been a staunch supporter of understanding that the Pier Park is more than just a cruise port. And of course, recognizing Caribbean sellers who came on board. In fact, they were part of the committee in terms of even finalizing what our lineup would look like. We also have Jhaka Insurances who continue to partner with the Pier Park, Rotary Club of Central Tortola, who also, both of them facilitated with the Coney Island becoming very much a reality as part of the Christmas activities and dovetailing into the New Year's event. Including the New Year's Day event, which we're going to talk a bit about. Of course, we also have House of Luxury. I'm trying not to forget anybody. I appreciated BVI Red Cross came out. We made sure after your recommendation that they were part and parcel of the event to ensure that if there were any incidences that they would have been able to manage that. And I'm happy to say that we went incident-free. We had an issue, but in terms of we didn't have fights, we didn't have any of that. And so it really set the tone for the possibilities. We also, and I'm hoping I didn't forget anybody, but if I did, I'll make sure that I do remember to plug them because, like I said, we continue to remain so grateful for their continued support. So as we're talking about Coney Island and of course, even having a conversation with KT Productions, UP Cineplex, Rotary Club of Central Tortola Pier Park, that area took on a life of its own. And so persons already knew what to expect for New Year's Eve. What we were hoping to do is really push the family dynamics. And for those persons that may not be as familiar, 4 years ago, when I came to the Pier Park, our board wanted to make sure that persons understood that Pier Park isn't a one-trick pony. We're not a cruise port solely. And most certainly after events such as the hurricanes, COVID, where we had a significant reliance on our local market, it stood to reason that things had to change. And so there was a pivot about 4 years ago. I'm happy that we were able to this year actually be able to see fruits of our labor, which resulted in the New Year's Eve celebration. And so as we were talking about the Coney Island. I really want to thank KT Productions and UPs, because if you saw the space and anybody knows who Elton is,
Yeah.
you would recognize that he's somebody that always puts his signature. His brand is quite synonymous with just being opulent and going above and beyond.
Absolutely.
Above and beyond. And of course, because this was also an opportunity for Rotary Club of Central Tortola with their mandate in terms of what they do within the community. We, of course, continue to appreciate those partnerships as well. And then so we had the movie night. And the movie night, we had 3 showings. Now, there was a last minute change for the movie night where we moved it from the lawn to the luxury deck. And so there was not enough, based on the time frame that we made the change, there was not enough notification to the public. Even though we sent something out, there wasn't enough notification, considering we had done sort of like a saturated spread from a marketing perspective. But what I can say is everybody who was part of the movie's experience has said, yeah, I can't take that thing back on the lawn. It's the ambiance, it's the sea, it's the panorama. It's just, it just felt so, I think, surreal for a lot of persons. And then BVI Ports Authority, who also aided and assisted us, what I continue to reference as our sponsors, came in and helped us with the seatings. So when you looked at it, most certainly, I don't know if I was able to get you photos of that, but it really created such an experience for the moviegoers. And of course, driving that whole family unit. So those 2 areas really was, we wanted to paint a picture that there's something for everyone. And so because we knew we did not have the dollars that some of our the other 3 major New Year's Eve or all years celebratories would have done, we decided that we wanted to be very strategic in terms of who our approach or our target market was. And so when you combine that with Overdrive, that already has their own, I have young people coming up and say, when Overdrive coming on?
Listen, I have to admit, I am also an Overdrive fan.
Wow. So. Okay. Listen, phenomenal performances. Listen, everything was so top tier.
Yeah.
And what I loved about this is we gave you a full VI experience. It was the association. It was Overdrive, and Overdrive was playing on the boardwalk, and the boardwalk was full. And then we had Extreme, which is able to do the older crowd appeal. And then you have Vibe that actually appeals to quite a range, the masses. It was such, as people were saying, that night was a vibe. and pun intended, because when you hear people coming and say, oh my gosh, y'all need to do this, like this should have happened from before. So we can't deal with the past, but we can deal with the future. And like I said, it is through leadership that said to us, whatever we thought when the Pier Park was created, understanding what these persons have gone through, understand what the business model may have been, sustainability and survivability. And ergo, what we did for New Year's Eve was painted a picture that there can be coexistence between cruise and the local market and the overnight guests. And I think we achieved that in spades. We had over 3,000 people. Honestly, I thought we would have gotten, I averaged us at maybe 1,750 to 2,000. That's what I thought we would have gotten. We got our first wave around 10:30. 11, and then the wave came after Trellis Bay's event concluded, and as well as people came after church. I had persons that had booked the parking because they didn't want to have to fight to try, yes, especially, you went to church, you in your heels, you dressed to the nines. And so one of the things that worked well for us was the parking. So a couple things that we noted there that we can do differently. And so we've done a post-mortem in terms of what worked, what didn't work, and what we could do better. So the laser show, We're gonna glory, hallelujah, praise God. It was a hit and miss.
Okay.
And it was a hit and miss, for me, out of everything, that may have been probably like a 2 out of 10. I think maybe the highlight was depending on positioning, because we had to use the mountain as the backdrop for the laser. We have some ideas if we utilize it. If the group utilizes it for 2024 New Year's Eve, clearly now we do have the asset, which allows us a little more playtime in terms of how we present the best viewing. Because what happened is, depend on where you were standing, your view may not have been the best in terms of being able to really appreciate. And coupled with Murphy's Law, you know that saying, whatever could go wrong will. Then we had issues because then the file was corrupted. And so it became a situation with, things like events like these where, we're having to sort of, land, you're in the air and you have to fuel the plane.
Yeah.
It became a bit about that. And so all in all the responses, I know definitely I've already reached out to a couple sponsors who have also assured me of their support. So it means that I've been told we do not have a choice but to do fireworks. So our sustainable and green fight continues, but it means that we will have to overachieve in certain areas, recognizing universally, because even though we never advertise fireworks, people were still expecting fireworks. So most certainly that is one of the areas that we will see a difference. If the board, because normally the board approves the funding, nothing else except the funding. So if the board approves, and I suspect based on the fact that we are well in the green, that this may get their approval, because it also hits smack in terms of their agenda. And we were able to achieve that night. My team really came in. They went beyond. I mean, my ops team was top tier. Our 2024 sign that was mistakenly shipped, it was shipped to the UK.
So it was an Etsy order?
And so we Alibabaed.
Oh.
We Alibabaed. Okay. And it was my first order in over 200 and something orders that got shipped to the UK. So I went on Etsy, like you rightfully said, and I purchased the numbers, the marquee numbers. And my team came through clutch in no time. And so it helps when you're putting on events like this to really know that you have the support. So kudos to them. I mean, my tenants, their cup runneth over. In fact, they ran out of alcohol.
Now that is something insane to think about, because anybody who's been to the Pier Park, who has been on the boardwalk, who has seen how well stocked these bars are.
And on the heels,
it's crazy to imagine.
Jhaka, on the heels of, we were supposed to have a ship-in that day and they canceled. And that's a ship normally that F&B does well with. So they were prepared for them and New Year's Eve. And they will tell you they were prepared, but they were not prepared. And so you had literally the tropics on the rocks, aromas, 7, trying to hold down the fort. Taste of the VI was over by the movie area where they're currently located. Everybody did exceedingly well. Beans wasn't actually going to open that night, but decided last minute that they would. And of course, Manjak Creamery was open as well. So the support from the tenants was really nonplussed, but the support from the public for a VI explosion, I thought honestly, like I said, 1750, because you always think maybe saturation, maybe they've played maybe too many spaces and places, just sharing. But our people came out. in support. And, we are really humbly grateful and thankful. And even to 284 Media that assisted us in plugging, and everybody that was really just spreading the word, sharing the WhatsApps, just being a part of our external marketing that allowed for us to get the kind of positive feedback. We say thank you.
Now, did you notice that Coney Island, the vortex went a bit viral on TikTok? It became a trend because these two girls, they visited and they filmed their reactions before and after going on the vortex. And it just became a thing where everybody started doing that.
I love that.
Yeah, it became really trendy. I was too afraid. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not even going to pretend here that I boarded the vortex. Did you board the vortex?
So first things first, the only thing I wanted was, you would swear I don't drive, but I wanted the bumper cars.
Okay.
And so, even in my conversations with Kenny, and Kenny said, that was something that when he placed the order, he thought that was the adult bumper cars. So that will be rectified on the next go round. But people like me, I don't do vortex. I live vicariously through those that are braver. I don't do the vortex, but I didn't see the TikTok. So I'll be happy to take a look when we've concluded this interview, because we had so much going on in terms of just last minutes as stuff putting together, that my exposure or access to social media was more sharing than receiving.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for the holiday season in general, that was the place to be for shopping, your last minute gifts. I remember I was looking for a scented candle. I had beat most of Tortola. Everywhere was sold out. Now, I don't want to give away where I got the candle.
I can tell you where. Where did you?
I got the candle at Miamore. I have to say, they really did save me. I'm not going to tell people where to find the candle because I need to go there to get more candles. But amazing. The team there is exceptional, and they really did set me up right before Christmas. And another thing I did notice was that there was no shortage of Santa. Now, you did mention the Honorable Premier.
Yes.
This one day I went to Pier Park, of course, get my gifts wrapped by the students raising funds for their prom from ESHS. And I noticed him in a Santa costume, interacting with the kids.
Yes.
Finish wrap my gifts, go. He's in a different Santa costume, heading off to another event. And he was very busy. So it was very encouraging and really fostered the whole Christmas spirit at Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, to just see all facets of the community really coming in and ensuring that the local children had a good time.
Yes. And so it comes right back to when I referenced the fact that Government of the Virgin Islands, but I specifically referenced the Premier Natalia Wheatley, because whatever you may have thought, he understood. He understands the role of the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park, and he has put his money where his mouth is in terms of the support. The BVI USVI Friendship Day. Yeah. There are so many times like I've reached out, and we do this. We reach out to a number of entities, and some of them are nonprofits as well, because that's our way of being able to give back. To be able to also work in terms of making a change within the community. So we do that through also providing space and places for these events to happen. So I am always going to be honest, be grateful for persons that get the message, understand, but put their money where their mouth is. And we've gotten that in the way of support via contributions in terms of sponsorship, but also in terms of use of the Pier Park. So whatever you thought the Pier Park was, you understand that it is a universal in all its glory and all its facets. I mean, we've listed so many things alone in this interview. The Coney Island was there. We had the whale there. That will be making its way back around the reef. That will be making its way back, I think, anytime this week or in the next week, back at the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park as part of the experience within the park. So we have check.
Now, Okay, so we're barely even into the new year.
Yes.
We still said Happy New Year at the beginning of the interview.
Right.
And I noticed that a visit to your Facebook page shows that you have already shifted gears
Yes.
and are asking people to save the date for the anniversary in February.
Correct.
So give us a little glimpse of what's next for the Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park. I know there's probably a press conference coming up and
Right.
we're going to have a grand old time, but anything you could tell us right now?
Well, what I am going to tell you is the Pier Park continues to position itself as a product, as a major product in the Virgin Islands. And part of that will be our Walk of Honor, where we are going to be giving 4 stars to persons that have left an indelible mark, that have made history, that has forged a way for us as Virgin Islanders. And so the Pier Park will tell the story of these 4 persons and allow guests that are coming, be it local, overnight, or cruise guests, will get a taste of who we are as Virgin Islanders.
See, that sounds like we're getting another photo op at the Pier Park soon. And I think that's something that really stands out when you're a cruise ship guest. You come to an island, you probably have 2 hours, maybe a couple of more hours off of your ship, but you don't want to go too far.
Right.
There's so many things to do right there. And adding another photo op, you know, for us who live here or maybe visiting, it's never a bad idea.
Well, you know, the Pier Park was made by, you know, I am a firm believer, and I think it's okay that I'm echoing the sentiments of the board and my CEO, Vance Lewis. Build it for us and let others appreciate it. So while I know that we're working sort of in the reverse, because when I came there, Pier Park was already established. But as I initially indicated, this territory has been through a lot, and Pier Park did not remain unscathed. And so we have to make sure that our tentacles, the way that we've repositioned ourselves, is one that allows for a level of sustainability outside of any particular other issue that may come, because we know of what is certain, something else will come. And so we have to position ourselves. And in this case, position our tenants.
All right. Now, of course, there is a lot more to come.
Yes.
And people are already trying to figure out their outfits in case, you know, they have to pull up at the end of the year.
Yes.
To start off the new year with Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park. That's sounding like the place to be, which is interesting to start advertising a New Year's event at the beginning of the year. That's how big it's going to be.
Yes.
Now, how can people stay informed, stay updated about what's going on at the Cyril B. Romney Tortola?
So our Facebook page, Cyril B. Romney Tortola Pier Park. Instagram, it's our handles, Tortola Pier. I also want to highlight, because I know we were talking about what you were doing at New Year's Eve and you went to church. And because we recognize, yes, we are a God-fearing society, we wanted as well to do things a little differently. So we started the year actually with praise and worship. And we had Vern Prophet, we had Donna Klein, we had about 5 phenomenal performers, or should I say people of God, that were able, I mean, when those cruise passengers came off, who wasn't crying, was sowing a seed, they were giving their life to Christ, because we wanted to make sure that we are able to make an impact. And so we are very intentional in terms of how we select and who we select. Because I said to them, I didn't want a preacher. What I wanted was, let it be that this touches. You know, you want to reach them at the heart, at the core of it, and not to be, you know, we didn't want it to be where it was any verbal per se, but more a singspiration. And the results from that were just phenomenal. I mean, when you heard, you know, I'm hearing that some members are being asked to come overseas to perform at a church that's opening. And that's what we're talking about, opening the doors for our VI artists and performers, because Pier Park is a gateway, but it's not just a gateway for cruise, it's a gateway for opportunities. And I'm so happy that we were able to make that and continue to make that happen.
Amazing. Now, You speak about Virgin Islands performances. I have to say that's something I really learned to appreciate over the holiday season. It was my second Christmas in the Virgin Islands, but it was the first one that I really got to see everything that was going on. I'm not sure if you saw the clash between Garden Bay Baptist Church and New Life Baptist Church, but the caroling this year, I'm not gonna try to get into who would have won because
Jhaka.
I'm trying to
Jhaka.
stay on the sidelines.
So first things first. I appreciated that, King Garden Bay attempted to battle New Life, Dove's Bottom. But I don't know if you were watching the same thing because I was actually decorating a house. I didn't realize that, there was a death and a resurrection. So I thought that only happens around Easter. And so what I will say is that New Life Baptist Church, and I love me some, I love my Dr. Turnbull, but him and I have also had this little banter. I gave them an E for effort in terms of the hype leading up, but we already knew that wasn't a competition. Come on.
Now, we're going to make sure that this clip finds its way to Dr. Mike, and we're going to leave the response to him. I don't think it's really my place to say anything at this time. But
silence is complicit. Listen, she's being complicit. She agrees. New Life Baptist. Honestly, what I really did take away from that, and everybody so appreciated, was that really was the spirit of Christmas.
Absolutely.
So, all jokes aside, it really brought you into the spirit. I was so happy to see the amount of people watching on Facebook and people who weren't here and just feeling nostalgic.
Yeah.
And seeing certain family members, and that just to show you, we can have friendly competition and it not mean anything after the night. We did what we did.
Absolutely.
So I just want to say kudos, though, to both of them for doing such an amazing job with that little rivalry, that playful rivalry. I felt that it really kind of heralded and really kind of got persons into the spirit of things. So even if you wasn't feeling it at the moment, that was like the difference between eating guava tart, pineapple tart, and coconut tart. And that was a coconut tart moment.
Absolutely. Okay, we can agree on something.
That was a coconut tart moment.
All right, now before we get too controversial, I think we're going to wrap up the interview. Any final words before we close off?
Continue, as we said, we gave you the handles. If you have any recommendations, suggestions, I continue to be very open in terms of the possibility for the Pier Park. I also want to salute the BVI Tourist Board, who I erred in not making mention initially. And I remember them more so because I appreciated that for the first time, the BVI had 5 major players in terms of New Year's Eve celebration. And the only reason I'm saying 5 is because Necker Island they had a whole island by themselves.
The drone show. Listen, I just saw a couple snaps on TikTok and I was like, Dubai? Where is this? What is happening? Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I need to have a conversation with Branson because when we were doing our research for drones as a possibility, the numbers were still very prohibitive. But oh wow, the fact that in terms of this happened in the BVI, that we were privy to this, we had front row seat, and even if you didn't see it live, it was still very much live in those pictures. And so I really want to salute the BVI Tourist Board in terms of recognizing a different product. We know that Foxy's is synonymous. They've been voted in the top 3 or 4 in the world as a place to go for New Year's Eve. We know that Trellis Bay has also secured that spot as the place to go. So we said Beef Island. And here it is, Virgin Gorda, Tortola, added to the mix the last year. That is something that I thought that Clive McCoy, in terms of his promotion of the BVI as the place to go to for New Year's Eve, I think all of what we were able to achieve gives that even way more context in terms of the collateral. And so I really want to also thank the BVI Tourist Board for coming on board as a sponsor and also giving us that international plug.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Zoe.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be seeing you again soon.
Apparently so.
And thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in with us today. Of course, I'm Jhaka Whitting. Stay tuned to 284 Media for more great content.